everybody? Welcome back to a special edition of the NANTICOKE Newsroom with Bob Kalinowski and co-host Jack the Cat, the one and only, America's favorite cat. So, today, we're doing a special NANTICOKE Newsroom because I was on the stacks. Literally. That's a podcast based out of Wilkes-Barre, out of Corcoran Printing. A podcast done by Bill Corcoran. It's a growing in popularity podcast. It's called On the Stacks with Bill Corcoran. And why is it called On the Stacks? Because in the printing business, there's these stacks of paper that they put in crates, and he made it a franchise to sit on the stacks and take a photo before you do the podcast. So I was invited on Bill's 30th edition of On the Stacks podcast. So you need to go to onthestacks.com. That's onthestacks.com, onthestacks.com, to see the latest edition of Bill's podcast featuring me. We talked for about 45 minutes on air. You also could find it on Facebook. Just search On the Stacks on Facebook, and there's multiple platforms you can watch, listen to this podcast on, Spotify, Apple, iTunes. So onthestacks.com, and Bill and I talked about a lot of things that you probably don't know about me. So if you are a fan of the NANTICOKE Newsroom, you'll be a fan of this podcast, and he does a great job with this. He asked me some great questions that I bet you some professional journalists wouldn't even ask. We had a great conversation, laughing back and forth. We even shared a beer while we were doing the podcast, so that always was a plus. So, like I said, we talked about my career, how I ended up being a newspaper reporter. We talked about the word juke. A lot of people are confused about what that word means and if it's offensive or not. To some it is, some it's not, but to us, I say that people in Nanticoke Glen Line, it's a badge of honor. We do talk about Glen Line also, yeah. And the origins of this very show, the NANTICOKE Newsroom. So onthestacks.com. If you have some time, listen, learn a little bit about me. That anyone who wants to know a little bit more about me, just go to onthestacks.com and listen to the podcast. So that was basically my rundown for the whole day, but there's a couple other things I had to add to you. We couldn't have just one topic, right? So as you know, recently Vice President Joe Biden came to town for a town hall on CNN. The local press was not allowed in. Only CNN. They kind of ran the show and ran a tight ship. Invite-only audience who asked questions. So I am covering the election for the Citizens' Voice, and I decided to go up there to talk to some Luzerne County voters that were there, basically staging a rally in support of President Trump to greet the arrival of Vice President Biden. There was like 2,000 people there, and I just went up to random people like, "Are you from Luzerne County?" And like I was like 7 for 8. It was amazing. So I got a lot of good contacts for the election, and I've done that for the Democrats too. I've gotten a lot of Biden contacts that I'll be calling throughout the next 2 months before the election. I honestly am surprised I'm alive after this event. It's not because of any type of protest that the Trump people are doing, or anything any act of violence that was coming my way. They lined the roads, both sides of Montage Mountain Road, and there's no barricades at all. And they kept the road open until 5 minutes before Vice President Biden's motorcade came in. And I was, taking pictures and kind of distracted a lot of times, taking video, talking to people, walking, and cars were just flying by. And then it started getting to nightfall. So here's 2 videos that I took of that day of when Vice President Biden was coming to the CNN town hall at PNC Field. Basically, the Trump people were having like a rally, whatever they do, or basically a party. And so here's the first video is of that, and then the second video is going to be of actually the motorcade passing by and the greeting that they gave Vice President Biden. like I said, after the event was over, I was talking to a friend, and I'm like, man, they should have some barricades up here. And then one of the sheriffs from Lackawanna County said, we did not expect this many people to show up. So, an update on Jack the cat, everyone's favorite cat. So, I have something to admit. The other day I took Jack for a ride, and I forgot Jack was in the car because he likes to go for a ride. He looks up on the windows like a dog does. And so he likes going for rides, and when I got home, I forgot he was in the car, and I left him in the car all night. In the morning, I'm like, where's my cat? He's not jumping on me. I'm like, oh, he's in the car. So he wasn't too mad. I gave him lots of treats after that. So here's some videos of him. I know y'all miss Jack. So here's me giving Jack a bath. You're such a good boy, Jack. You're such a good boy. You're such a good boy. Aw, almost done, Jack. Here's a video of Jack trying to pull my shoe off the coffee table. I don't know when my shoe was on the coffee table. Maybe it was to tease him with a dangling shoestring.
Get that shoe. Get that shoe. Get the shoe. Come on. Get it. Get it.
Okay, and the best news of all, unless I jinxed it about the first thing I said about leaving Jack in the car, is my sister and I were talking the other day. She's coming home in a matter of days. I mean, she gets her GG dog back, and if she wants, she gets her cat back, and I'm catless in possibly like a week. But she did say, and I don't know if this is good or bad. I mean, I think it was good. She's like, hey, Bobby, I was just thinking maybe when I come back to the United States, I might be allergic to Jack. Or if I get a boyfriend, he might be allergic to Jack. So the conversation didn't go much more than that. But I took that as maybe you're staying. Huh? You want to stay in the newsroom? Anyway, that's the Jack the Cat feature. Also, what else did I do recently? I've been stressing for 2 weeks trying to get a staff to bartend and serve at a wedding. Not as easy as you think. One of my friends asked me to rescue her and help with this wedding, the backyard wedding in West Nanticoke. She's like, oh, we just need some people to clear some plates and bartend. And it's not as easy as you think, you know, bartending a wedding or staffing a wedding, serving at a wedding, cleaning plates at a wedding. You need people to know what they're doing. So I had to find a staff that knew what they were doing. And I tried like crazy. So most people that work all week don't want to work on a Saturday. And other people just don't want to work at all. So it was really hard to find people, but I assembled a staff of 4, and we nailed it. And the reason why we had to have a backdoor wedding and we had to staff it is the venue was providing the food still, but they weren't going to allow the people at the venue to take pictures, have a DJ, walk around anywhere without a mask. And there were crowd size limits of how many people could come to the wedding, so they decided to have a backyard wedding. And I promised my friend I wouldn't let her down. And I don't think we did. So I want to thank Lisa, Joanne, and Louise for helping me out. We killed it. We made some good money and had a great time. Maybe we could do it again someday. So West Nanticoke wedding, and it was all a bunch of people from the south that came up here, and they were freezing because it was 60 degrees as a high that day and 45 a night on top of Tilbury Terrace. So thank you again for who helped me with there. And let's end the show with a nice eye teaser. So is this a goat or a bird? Jack. Is that a goat or a bird? I can see it both ways. I think I saw it as a bird at first. So anyways, that's the special edition of the Nanticoke Newsroom. Go to onthestacks.com to watch me on the On the Stacks podcast with Bill Corcoran. Thanks, Bill, for having me on. Thanks for watching the show. That's what you probably asked me to be on the On the Stacks podcast. So that's the Nanticoke Newsroom for tonight. And Jack, you know how the show ends. Get off your fat ass. Cuz we gotta let Anna end the show.
Stay safe out there.